Hello, my name is Nollaig Heffernan and I am going to describe a very clever tool from lean management that looks at resource distribution called the PIC model. So in your business, you have a number of resources that ideally you want to get the best return from when you decide to invest them. And the type of resources that we would see in a business at any one time would be money, of course, the typical one, time, so good investment of your time, land, equipment, and staff. So I find this a very useful model when it comes to assigning staff to relevant and appropriate jobs. So if you feel that you're understaffed, this is a great way to think about your human resource in your business and if you are using them to their best capacity to help your business. So a PIC model is based on two axes. So like most business models, it has 4 quadrants based on 2 axes. And the 2 axes we're looking at are return and difficulty. So obviously you want something to have a return, but the level of return is very much going to be based on the difficulty of the project. So obviously you might be looking at something that looks really juicy and has a good return, but when you sit down and think about it, actually the level of difficulty diminishes that return and also maybe potentially runs the risk of hemorrhaging lots of resources. So it's very important that you don't just think about you're not just distracted by the big return potential, but you're thinking about the difficulty of obtaining that return as well. So when we put the 2 axes together, we get our 4 quadrants. The first P of PIC is possible. So possible is low return and low difficulty, which means it requires volume, because if something is low return, you need a lot of it to get the return. And the typical one in a dairy business would be 1 litre of milk. So 1 litre of milk is not difficult for a dairy farmer to produce because they have the cows and they have the equipment. However, it's low return because it's only 1 litre of milk. And so dairy farmers milk in volume in order to get return on something that is low difficulty for them. So it's a note of caution here in the sense that it's orange. I've got orange as a note of caution, because you require volume to do it. And volume, if done poorly, can actually be quite time consuming, and it can lead to drudgery. So it's proceed with caution and understand that if you're going to go down the possible route, you need a large volume to make it return. Okay, so that's volume. Up here then we have implement. Now implement is green because green means go, and that really is about low hanging fruit. Low difficulty, high return. That means it's a quick win. You're being rewarded for your investment. You're getting a return on your investment. So we would call that reward. Okay, and that's where you should be operating really as much as possible. If you can identify that there are aspects of your business that are low difficulty and high return, well, that's certainly where you should be investing your resources as much as possible. An example in a dairy business would be the use of contractors. Good contractors, assuming you can get them, would be high return because they're doing work on your behalf. They're doing things that are relevant to your business, allowing you to spend your time elsewhere. And also it's low difficulty because contractors have the correct machinery, they've got the skill set, they can just go, they're not distracted by other jobs, they're just going in, doing a focused job and leaving again. So contractor is a good example of high return, low difficulty for a dairy business. Across here we have challenge. Now, challenge are those big juicy ones, so they're high return, but they're high difficulty. And what I find in some farm businesses is that when a farm is well established, maybe farmers the business owner gets a little bit bored and they start getting distracted by these challenge ideas. And challenges could be expansion, diversification, investing off farm, these different things that are really juicy, but can lead to problems. So when we look at challenge, because it's high return, but also because it's high risk, okay, because it's high difficulty, it means it's high risk. So it carries risk. And if it carries risk, I have it as red, which is kind of a stop. Think about it before you dive in there. Be very well informed before you engage in that idea, because if it's high risk, it runs the risk of hemorrhaging a lot of your resources. So up here we've got challenge, which may be juicy, may be interesting, may be exciting, but be very careful because it carries risk. And anything that carries risk, if you don't understand fully what you're getting yourself into, if it isn't well planned, well, you can quite quickly come down into here, which is the last quadrant, the kill quadrant. And the kill quadrant should be avoided at all costs. Okay, so you should really avoid that, because the kill quadrant is high difficulty, low return. So we really want to avoid that. We don't want to embark on anything that looks from the outset that it's a high difficulty, low return, that it's a kill concept. And we certainly don't want to allow our challenges to drift into there because we didn't plan them properly. So in terms of a dairy business, or in any business actually, you would see people who are hiring staff without understanding why they need the staff, without having the correct things in place. They will call staff high difficulty, low return. And unfortunately, in my role, I come across a lot of businesses that say staff are high difficulty, low return. And that just means that the business didn't understand the type of staff they required. They took what they were given rather than really spending time planning and understanding what their business required, planning and understanding what having staff in your business means. So if we're looking at this model, what we ideally want to do is to operate out of here as much as possible. Now, there will be times in your business's life cycle that require you to delve into those challenge concepts, and that require you to maybe expand and to do something different in order to be viable and to continue as a business. What you should do with this red being stop is you should stop yourself, and you shouldn't embark on this idea until you have brought it as close as possible to the implement scenario, until you have made it as straightforward and understandable as possible, that it becomes low risk because you understand what you're doing. So by planning it, by understanding it, you're reducing the level of risk. You can't eliminate all risk potentially, so what you want to do is at least bring it as close as possible. So if you can't move it into a high return, low difficulty scenario, if it still carries a level of risk, then you should at least move it as much as possible over there. And you do that by planning, by understanding, by engaging expertise to help you to do that properly, and not diving in with your head first. You know, being cautious, maybe jumping in with your feet first, which means that you're safe and that you're looking after yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to hemorrhage a lot of resource down here. And when you hemorrhage resources, you get a business that is frustrated, that's potentially financially in trouble. Morale takes an awful dive across staff. You as the business owner are reluctant to engage in further projects that would be useful to your business, because once bitten, twice shy. You invested, it didn't go well, and you feel reluctant to engage again. And the trouble with that is the next project may be absolutely right for your business, and you don't do it because you've had a bad experience. So it's thinking about, what is the project, where am I investing my resources, and will I get a return, and how difficult will it be to get that return? And by running it through a model as simple and as useful and as powerful as the PIC model, you are going to create better opportunity for yourself to invest your resources appropriately in your business. You're going to get better returns. You're going to have staff who will feel engaged and motivated because things are happening positively in your business. So again, a business model that you could easily, if you spent a few minutes sitting down and filling out the ideas about different possibilities for investment of your resources, and you look at it based on difficulty and return, you're far more likely to assess your business correctly and to invest your energy and resources properly. So the PIC model from Lean Management, a very powerful resource distribution tool. Thank you very much.